6:01-ish. So you've got attendance, Don? First thing is election of chair and vice chair. So got people who've been here for a year now, along with us old timers. I'm willing to stand again, but do we have any?
I'd like to put my name in the hat for chair, please.
Okay.
I would like to be vice chair.
Okay.
Continue on with that.
All right. So we move to close nominations and all that jazz for this?
Just
Okay.
have a nomination made and then have it seconded. It doesn't need to be a formal motion.
Okay. So she's self-nominated. Anybody want to second her?
I'll second it.
All right. And then I self-nominated.
I'll second.
Okay. So then we'll just do, we okay with voice vote? Yes? Okay. Just because I'm self-centered, let's start with me. I mean, you got to start with somebody.
Who was it down there that seconded? You.
I seconded.
Okay.
Jane seconded me. So, all those in favor of Daisy? Okay.
Aye.
All those in favor of Corey? All
Aye.
right. Sounds like Corey. Sweet. I can move. And then vice chair, do you want to do the vice chair, or do you want me to finish this off?
You can finish.
Okay, so vice chair, we have Jane. Anybody else? All right. All those in favor of Jane?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay.
Good job. You get a break.
I do.
How long has it been that you've been chair?
I think since Trish left, no? Does that sound right?
I think there was vice chair.
Yeah, you refused to be chair. You're-
I never refuse anything.
I'm not sure what you think
Respectfully decline.
refuse means. I can go back to bringing my knitting.
Only if you promise to knit me a blankie.
Have you ever knit a blanket? It takes forever.
No.
No. All right.
You'll have to help me because I've never done this before. Here's your, like this thing in? All right.
So, yeah, you basically just kind of go through.
Okay. We'll give her a go.
So public testimony. Well, we got to do the public testimony, make sure, and then approval of minutes.
Listed number 4 on the agenda.
Oh, it is.
Strategic plan feedback from members discussion will be led by council liaison. Hand it over to Councilor President Starr.
Thank you, Madam Chair. So you all received a copy of the draft of the strategic plan, so kind of almost final draft. Council asked that it go before every committee to get their input and their feedback. Give every committee an opportunity to ask questions, make suggestions, kind of give your input, and making sure that we're looking at the strategic plan through all of the different lenses within the city. So Daisy, you look like you had a thought. Oh, okay. So we are just bringing that forward to you, and I would encourage maybe to just go section by section and really maybe looking at the engagement piece of the plan and having discussion around that. I think that's probably, I think there's pieces of every goal that are applicable to and have a connection to this committee, but really looking at that piece in terms of the volunteers and the opportunities for that, and maybe thinking of ways in which this committee can offer support or collaboration with the Community Diversity Engagement Committee, which is looking at how do we engage our committee or our community. But that's really what this process is an opportunity to give your input and your feedback, ask any questions or suggest any changes. So I don't know how, if you Madam Chair, how you want to walk through that. If you just want to start on goal number 1 and ask if there's any feedback, or how would you like to walk through that?
Did everybody look at this on their own? Full transparency, I did not. So usually I have time in the week, and this week I have not had time. Do folks want to look at it together or on their own?
I'd like to ask a question.
Sure.
Madam Chair. So, has everybody on our committee done the survey? You did it? And so that was, so you have read through it, it was just, you haven't studied it.
Yeah, I haven't
Same here.
seen the finished.
But if anybody hasn't submitted their survey, I think that's a really good thing to do.
I guess I wasn't quite sure what the suggestion moving forward plan was, when I read it. Kind of like, okay, you took the surveys and what, but then what was decided? Where it was to actually state that this is what we wanted to do.
So Adam, I don't, if that sounds like a process question, maybe that you have a better handle on than I do. You have worked extremely closely with the consultant on this, so maybe I can do a soft toss over to you on that.
Did that make sense what I said?
So, I guess you can judge it by my answer. But it was an answer, right?
Okay.
But you can see from the, there's 717 people that responded to the first survey, which was done in the spring of 2023. We had 17 group presentations of events that they got feedback at, and 12 community leader interviews, and 3 planning sessions with
actually, when you were going through it, I actually then finally saw the goals there, and I guess I didn't get it far enough into it. I felt like I was reading
Yeah, the,
something prior to the actually seeing what you just went over the actions.
my question on the actions is, in looking at these, all of them are pending. And when I read the actions, is this like, are these numbered in a priority? And then in reading the actions, they almost sound like goals to me, because it's not, it's increased public safety data sharing and reporting, strengthen relationships between police department and community members. That still sounds like a goal rather than the action. It's like,
True.
what are you going to do to do to that? And I'm not familiar with this process all on its own, and so I'm not sure if there's like more steps that are going to be done that I'm leaping ahead to.
Yeah, well, your comments are perfect, really. What we don't have here is how it moves forward, but your comments about them not being measurable goals or action steps are a point and something we've gotten from a couple other committees. So I think we're gonna tweak those action plans to make sure that they're measurable. For instance, that data sharing of crime or with the community, that would probably look something like post quarterly crime stats on our website. So 4 times a year, boom, boom, that's something, we can do. And so we're kind of going through an eye with that eye in mind from the last couple committees' comments. And then for the action lead in year, what we'll do once the actions are approved is do a work plan each year. And the council right now, what is behind them is what they do is a 2-year work plan, which goes along with the cohort after each election. So there are 4-year terms, so every 2 years we've got a potential switch of half. So we do a 2-year cohort goals. And so what we'll do is this plan will become the council's goals, but they'll have a chance to look at it every year and look at the scorecard. And I hadn't done the scorecard yet, but I have a template I've been using for years, and I've kind of got it finished off in my office this afternoon because to share with everybody so that they understand what the scorecard looks like. It's basically something that shows progress on our website. We say, yep. But we'll have to decide over the 5 years where are these going to fall?
And again, take my feedback for what it's worth, which is probably very little. For me, it would be interesting to see, like, if we're not, because I know a lot of these things it's difficult to necessarily prioritize, but there are some things like the increased public safety data sharing. That's something that can be immediately done with very little, with very little output from something, whereas, strengthen relationships, that's going to be a multi-step process. But having some kind of evaluation of these actions in that way, so that it's like, because trying to do full-on action plan, the way I'm thinking of what an action plan would be for each of these 7 things for, every single goal is really prohibitive. But the things that we can go, okay, these are the quick hits we can get right away, and then these are things that are going to have to be more of a 5-year plan, but have that kind of evaluation of it, I guess. I don't know. Words are hard tonight, apparently.
Quick successes.
Yeah. And, and then the ones that are going to need more time, that are going to be a 5-year plan, those are the ones that break down into more, we're going to improve community engagement by doing these outreach programs or, whatever specific actions get decided.
Are these supposed to be standalone where anybody in the community should understand what each of these things are? Like, for instance, I'm looking at like complete river cherry overlay revitalization plan. Is that supposed to be something that is explained somewhere, or is that just explained on another part of the city?
Can I share this? So on that exact, I think it was that exact item, I had the suggestion in our engagement committee, community engagement committee, that we almost make this like a live document, if you will. And so if
Links.
and have links and things hyperlinked. So you can look at, what is the River Cherry Overlay District, right? So have it dynamic. That's the word I was looking for, a dynamic document. So when you click on something, it takes you to whatever the information or the context or the background behind that item is. So that was my thought. So that, to your point, if somebody in the community did look at that and wasn't familiar, they could just click on it and it would take them to another.
Okay.
Yeah.
If it's going to be on a printed, I would say that maybe have an addendum or something.
Sure,
at the
yeah.
end with a brief synopsis of that.
And then doing it with being a live document, then you can document your successes. Like, the making the public safety data, then you can have that link to that. And yeah.
Yeah, good comment.
Click here for the most recent data report,
Yeah.
that kind of thing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a balance between kind of using the professional terms, but also making it understandable. And I think that's a good solution to that, because one thing I hadn't talked to Corey about was the term economic gardening is in there, which is something that council is like, well, what is that? It's what in the industry is trying to grow your own. The businesses that are already there, try to make them see if we can't help them grow instead of going out and getting big companies into your community. So one of the goals in there is to work with the Chamber of Commerce to, we'll figure out some simpler language that to grow our own.
Well, I think having the links in there would definitely make it so it's still readable document, but those who are in the know can skip right past that hyperlink, and those that are not can explore more.
In
I just
general,
found your economic gardening, and you had explained it. So I found that economic gardening part, and it, I don't know, explained it for me as a layperson, so I think that's okay.
well, in general, I really like all of these goals, and I think they're in good order too. I think goal 1 of safety, if we don't have safety, we can't have a community at all. And we can't have economic success. We can't have personal success. So I really appreciate that that's at the top. I'm wondering, has CERT, has that come up? Are we going to be in that area where we're working with emergency management and that? I know some cities have all of their employees trained in the CERT, community emergency response training, and so I would love to see that integrated into our plan and revive our CERT team there.
We have
Struggling.
2 goals in there for emergency management and to increase our preparedness level. Right now, we're working on getting a basic level of city emergency management. And ironically, I was just talking with Marion County Emergency Management today, who does an excellent job. And Keizer CERT is sponsored by Marion County. They wanted to move under the city of Keizer. And honestly, we are just not ready for that. But what we can do is continue to engage with them, start going to their meetings. They have been invited to our meetings and they've come. So they've been super willing to, as we have restarted up the emergency management over the last year for Keizer, they've been a part of it and player. And so right now they'll stay under Marion County, but I can see the time when we're far enough along that we could see, yeah, okay, we can be your sponsor now. So
Great, thank you.
Another, since we were talking links a little bit ago, you might consider some of this background, the development of the plan, to be a link, and let people in the public go straight to the goals, not necessarily the process of how you came up with the goals per se. If you want to make sure that they read them, because people lose their resilience. So that was one thing. And then I did have a question about the surveys that are listed on 4.6 and 6.6. Would that all be one survey? Or would those be separate surveys? And are we hiring someone to do that, or is that in-house, or?
yes, that's the same survey. And we haven't decided on who. Some cities go alone or with a university that'll run it. But what I prefer to do is to use the National Citizen Survey because you can benchmark against other communities and it's a very reasonable price doing it. Yeah, and I'll give you an example. When I was with a very large county government in Virginia, we paid $50,000 a year for that survey. The National Citizen Survey, the last time I did it, it was $11,000. And you don't do it every year because there's just not enough time to respond. So a 2-year time frame is nice. And just what I like to do is then on the off years do an employee engagement survey and an internal survey. But that 2-year time frame is nice because you can actually do some stuff and respond and then measure and respond. So, but if you split that into 2 years, about, what I tell people is what a business that has a $60 million budget spend to know what their customers want for marketing data. And $6,000 isn't much when you think about it in that manner. Yeah, I think you're right. The goals is the meat of it, and what people must care about or should care about. The other stuff's just kind of window dressing. And I mean, it's important for legitimacy, but
It has a function.
yeah.
It's just the public doesn't necessarily need to know all that function.
They don't care to know, yeah.
That's when I started reading it. I felt like
And may I ask another question? In goal 3.9, what does that entail? The revised purchasing policies within the state law to support local businesses? Do you know?
I'm going to ask about that one.
Oh, 3.7, okay.
So it's a project that's actually underway right now, but Keizer's had a much more stringent purchasing policies than even the state does. And so what it's really done is slog down projects. And so the council's asked us to streamline that. And it's a balance for public agencies because you need to be transparent and make sure that there's public procurement is just super important, that it's done right, but it's not an efficient way to do things. So, but putting the requirements on top of what's already onerous with the state,
So this is Keizer's purchasing policies. Is what we're talking about.
simplifying Keizer's purchasing policies.
Okay, I like that, with the transparency, for sure. This deal I was talking about with the city of Denver, we're on year 3, trying to get a purchase completed with that city. I mean,
Yeah.
that is a waste of time and lots of money to just get something that's so simple. I'm all for simplifying.
I have a question about goal 3, 3.7. Explore feasibility of business license as an informational tool or database to support economic development and public safety. Can you tell me a little bit more about that?
Yes, because that one can be scary. And the intent for it is that in the last city I was in, we actually did away with the fee for it, right? Because you're not going to get rich off a business license as a city. I mean, you have what, probably 400 members
Yeah, well,
around that?
yeah. Give or take. We have some trade memberships that we do, and then some community memberships, so.
So in the last city, there was $10, and we had around 350 businesses. So it's not a lot of money, but the value was that we had ownership and contact information. So we ended up just getting rid of the fee, and it was voluntary. The advantage is that if we get that contact information, for instance, if Corey's the contact at the chamber and somebody breaks in the middle of the night and an alarm goes off and our cops respond, or it could be anybody's business, they were able to pull this database up and say, oh, Ms. Florido's the one to contact for this residence, and here's the phone number, boom. Fire and police, it's just super, super helpful. Other than that, you're relying on the county GIS system, and which, may have the owner listed that lives in Arizona and not necessarily have a phone number on it. So it's, we aren't proposing a business license fee with it. It wouldn't be a smart way to fund government, nor popular.
Could you not roll that into the trespass letter of consent for that public safety piece?
You could, yeah, if for those, that we just don't have nearly as many of those that we would if we called it a business license, but it could be accomplished the same way. Yeah. It's good.
Once a year? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, or maybe we
We do,
add that to the business license. You could provide authorized consent for your.
we send them out the first of the year for the department and get people to do it. I think last year we got 130 businesses to do it, which is a big lift.
Yeah.
I mean, it's a really big participation that they've had previously.
Yeah. Yeah, either way it happened would work. But that was the goal of it.
Making it easier for them to just, oh yeah, let's go ahead and do that, because a lot of times you don't think about it until a problem has happened.
Yeah, and we
And it's
just
too late.
sent the sticker with the letter. So you didn't have to fill it out and then get the sticker back. We just sent them a sticker. Yeah, here's your business license sticker, and please forward this information so we can contact you. Heaven forbid there's a fire or break-in or anything. Yeah. But maybe it would be good to put in that action step that is not a fee with that, so it doesn't, because the city council jumped on that one earlier, like, hey, wait a second, everybody know that.
Would it be better if it was a registration instead of license?
That's, yeah.
Either way, just say no fee registration, no fee license. Yeah.
Anyone else have anything as kind of?
I see that we're still going to try and do a volunteer committee training.
Duly noted.
Yeah, everybody good?
And if there's, I think we still have a couple more. This goes through the end of the month, right?
I promised Councilor Cross that I would make sure it was open at least a month when we got the Spanish translation,
Okay.
which was Monday. So I'm looking at February, the first couple weeks of February.
So that'd be great. And just, so if you are reading this or think of something outside of the committee, if you would just, where do you want them to send those suggestions? To you, or any questions or anything that they have? Adam?
Questions can come to me. If comments and suggestions, it would be best to use the portal. And you can use it as many times as you want, the survey.
Oh, okay. Use the survey. Okay. Also, make sure if you feel so inclined, if you would please consider, pushing that survey link out to people along with a link or something to the document. It's on social media, so you can share that or however you can get the message out. So we would love that feedback.
Thank you. Okay, it looks like we'll move on to public testimony, and I don't see anyone other than us here. So we'll move on to approval of the minutes from December 14th, 2023.
So moved.
Second. I seconded. Jane moved.
All those in favor of the motion, say aye.
Aye.
And anyone for nay? Okay, motion passes. And there are no committee appointments. There was no applications received, no nominations for volunteer of the quarter. So that brings us to number 8, other business. Is there any other business for today?
I do have one question of clarification from an email from Dawn about the youth liaison, as I'm continuing to try to recruit in a variety of different ways. She mentioned some other committees that I wasn't familiar with wanting, including this one, needing a youth liaison. Is that accurate? That everybody is having them?
Yes, all of the committees can have a youth liaison, but I can't remember, I'd have to go back to the email to see which ones have openings. I think there's 4 committees that have openings.
Okay, so I think there was more than 4 listed, but,
Okay.
okay, so,
I
by
can
you.
forward- Yeah, I can.
So I
forward
just
that
didn't know,
email.
I didn't realize that this had a youth liaison position also. We never-
We've never had one before. But and this is just me speaking from the historical perspective. I don't think there was any particular reason why that happened. I don't know that anybody thought that there was necessarily huge benefit as compared to like on the arts or, something like that, having the youth voice in those things. But I don't recall us ever really discussing it.
So we recently passed amending resolutions for several of the committees to add the youth liaison to the committees because it was in the council rules.
Yep.
Okay.
Angelica said she was gonna talk to Graydon and see if he could wrestle up something too. We have, I think, Katie also on the arts KPAC. So
Any other business? So we can adjourn at 6:37 PM. And I can clap the gavel. All right. The power is mine.
I always felt weird doing